All right, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. First of all, welcome to today's session from the Mohawk Regional Information Center on Google Classroom. My name is Derek Lalone. I'm one of the Model Schools coordinators here at the Mohawk RIC. And today what we're going to be doing is just kind of giving you a brief introduction to everything that Google Classroom has to offer, from setting up your classroom to getting your students enrolled, and some of the basic features that you have available to you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and split my screen here. Actually, let's try it this way. That looks better. Okay, so we're going to jump right in here. And for those of you that have never logged into Google Classroom before or don't really know what it's about, I'm right here on our Google page. And if you're on a Chromebook browser and if you're logged into your Google account already, I can come right over to the waffle here and select my classroom icon. And it's going to take me right out to Google Classroom. I also can go to classroom.google.com. and that'll also bring me to the same place. So with that, I'm going to click on my classroom icon. And that's going to bring me to the classrooms that I already have created. If you don't have a classroom created, you're obviously not going to see anything in here. So in order for us to get started, what we can do is up here in the upper right-hand corner, we have this little plus icon. And if I select that plus, we're going to have two different options. We have join and create. Now, as an instructor, I want to create this classroom. So I want to, create it so my students have availability to it. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to kind of show you the process, is I'm going to select the create button, and we're going to set this up. So the only thing that we need in this case is the classroom name. Everything else is kind of for your own organization. But the only thing that we really need to get our classroom going and started is to type in a name at the very top and select create. So it's going to take a minute to create our classroom, and once it does, and don't worry if this doesn't work, there we go. The first thing it does is it brings us right to our page. You can see we have our header up at the top here, our stream, so this is where all of our information kind of populates into Google Classroom. Upcoming, which is all of our upcoming assignments that we assign, or any due dates that we put on anything will appear here. And then we have our tabs across the top. So the first thing that I want to do before we get into creating students and everything else is I just want to touch briefly on the grades area. And I need to have people in it first, so I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's go back to our stream. Let me reverse that. Let's talk about people first. Okay, so once we get into our classroom, we want to go in and we want to be able to invite people. There's a couple different ways that students can join our class. So if I were to go out to classroom again here, and there's two different ways that students can join. I can either, on this classroom piece here, we have this little class code. If I hit that window, it's going to pop this up nice and big for me to be able to see. So this is the classroom join code. So what students could do is, with this code, if you provided it to them, they can come out to their Google Classroom, select join, and they would type or paste in that code. That's the first way to do it. The second way to do it would be I could come into the people area, and underneath here where it says students, if I know my students' email addresses, so if I know their usernames, their Active Directory credentials, what they log into the computers with, I can come in, and I'm just going to use one of my coworkers here. And I'm going to invite him as a student. Oh, I'm in the wrong domain. So I need to. And that's the other thing to kind of bring up, is that the majority of our districts are set up to only allow people from a district email address. So if you're talking about, Gmail addresses or other districts or something along those lines, most of the districts aren't going to be set up that way. So it's kind of good practice to keep in mind that we just want to keep it within our district realm. So in this case, now that I'm in the right domain, I'm going to invite Chris as a student, and I can do this with all of my students. And once I invite them, you can see that they kind of pop up grade. So what they're going to do is, when they actually log into my classroom, when they go to Google Classroom, they're going to have my classroom pop right up on the screen. So I'll show you very quickly here. My classroom will pop right up on the screen here, and they'll have a little join button down here at the bottom. They'll select join, and they'll be enrolled in the classroom. So really, it's kind of up to you how you want to invite students to your classroom, either through inviting them, and you can see Chris has accepted the invitation because he happens to be watching this webinar. So you can see Chris is now there. So we can either invite through email, I lost my train of thought, or I can come back to the stream, grab our class code, send that out to my students and say, hey, go to classroom.google.com, select join, type in the code, and it'll add them. So the other feature that we have within our people area is co-teachers. So if there are other teachers out there that I want to, that I'm either co-teaching with, or if it's a teacher assistant or a teacher aide or something along those lines, I can invite them to the classroom as well, and they will have teacher rights the same as you would. So they would be able to go in and create content, communicate with the students, create assignments, and things of that nature. And it works very similar to the way that we invited our students. In this case, I'm going to use one of our test accounts. And the one thing that you'll notice is the more I type, once it gets to a certain point, usually at like the .org part, if the email address exists in the system, it's going to pop it up right here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and invite a friend Eaboard here. But now they will have an invitation in their mailbox, or if they come out to Google Classroom, they will have the ability to join as a teacher. So now that we have a student in our classroom, one thing that I do want to show you is the grades tab. I have to create an assignment first. Okay, so we have our people in, and that's really what I wanted to show you with this particular classroom in general. If I am starting from scratch, this would be all I would see, and I would kind of build as I needed as I went through. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually come over to a class that I've already created that already has some content in it, just so you can get an idea of what the classroom stream looks like. So this is an example classroom that I set up, and what you'll notice is there's a lot of information here. So what's nice about this, the Google Stream piece, is this is a good way for you to be able to communicate with your students, especially when we're not inside of the classroom. So the stream area, it works very similar to the way a Facebook feed does. So if I want to post a quick message, give the students some information, or just reach out and say hi, I can click on my avatar right here. And I can say hello everyone with a big exclamation point. And I can hit post. And there's my feed. And now you'll see that students will have the ability to comment back and forth. So we can kind of start a dialogue right there. Some of the other things that our stream can do is, I'm just going to do a, hey everyone, check this out, is we have the ability to add different attachments to it. So down here underneath where it says add, if I select the add button, you can see that I can add anything that I've created in Google Drive. I can add a hyperlink. So any website that's out there or any video online that I want to post, I can send that to them as a link. We have the file tab, so that means I can grab a file right from my desktop and upload it to Google Classroom if I don't want to have to upload it to Google Drive in the first place. And then finally, we have a YouTube video piece. So what's nice about this is I can just click on YouTube and I'll do TED Talk. Quick search. And we can click on any one of these videos. I'll click inside the Mind of a Procrastinator, select add, and now you can see that this video is posted into my stream. Once I hit the post button, students will have easy access to that link to that video. With the same token, if I clicked on Google Drive, I could go out to one of my Google Drive folders and any content that I want to add to it. And let's say I come into this 9th grade area, go into my digital footprint, and I'm just going to select this PDF. And if I add that PDF, it'll add that file as well. So I can attach multiple files to anything that I post in my stream. The other nice thing about the stream, and with anything within Google Classroom, is under the For tab here, if I hit that little drop-down menu, that's going to give me every single class that I've created in Google Classroom. So now I can create a single post, a single assignment, and post it to multiple classrooms. So if I'm teaching multiple sections of a topic, I can create a classroom for each section, create the assignment once, and automatically post it to all of my other classrooms without having to go into every classroom every single time and kind of repeat the steps over and over again. So I could come in and I can just hit these check boxes, and you can see it'll post to all 3 classes. The other nice piece that we have is underneath the All Students tab is that I can actually come in and I can target this. So if there's a resource that I want to send to a particular student that may be struggling or may have an IEP or something like that, and they need documents that are specially formatted for them, I can come in, I can select that single student, and I can post it to that student. So that's a really nice feature that's built into this as well. The final thing that we have within our stream is underneath our post area. I can click on the little arrow next to our post button, and you can see I can save the draft. So it's something I'm not really ready to post yet or schedule. I can save it, and it'll just show up in my stream, and I'll go in and edit it when I log back into Google Classroom. I can schedule it. So if I want to preload messages, if I want to preload activities, assignments, things of that nature, I can schedule it. Or if I want to post it right away, I can select the post button. So I'm going to go ahead and post it. And now you can see my YouTube video and my Protecting Online Reputations PDF are now both attached to my stream, and now my students will have access readily available to it as soon as they log into Google Classroom. So that's kind of the stream piece of it. The next part that I want to talk about is our classwork. So if I come into our classwork piece, what you'll notice is I have everything kind of organized right now. So you can see I have these like 10th grade cyberbullying, 9th grade digital citizenship, and cyberbullying, and 9th grade digital citizenship, digital footprints. What Classwork does, and they didn't have this feature before, is that it allows us to kind of organize our content and our material. Before, it was just kind of a stream of consciousness. We were just throwing content up there all the time, and there wasn't necessarily a place for it to be organized. This new Classwork tab allows us to go in and kind of organize our curriculum as we're posting it, so we can track the order of assignments, we can track the material that we're giving to our students, and the like. So to get started with our Classwork tab here, the first thing I want to point out is up here at the top of the screen is we have a Google Calendar and a class drive folder. So what's nice about Google Classroom is that as soon as I create a classroom and that student joins a classroom, it actually creates a Google Calendar for that student for your classroom. So if I click on my Google Calendar, this is going to take me to my classroom calendar, as well as all the other calendars that I have set up. But you can see here, here's my upcoming assignments that pop up right there. So students will always kind of have that connection of what's going on and what's upcoming, either through the calendar or through the upcoming tab over here in the stream. I'm going to click on my classwork again. The other nice feature is that we have a class drive folder. So when we talk about students submitting assignments and things of that nature, what's great about Google Classroom is that it actually creates a classroom folder inside your drive, creates folders for each class, and it creates folders for each assignment. So everything is kind of set up so you can access it from either Google Drive or right from Classroom, but it keeps it organized so you're not just looking for random files everywhere. I can actually log in, I can click on my cyberbullying assignment, I can see my 2 student assignment submissions, I can click on them, I can edit them, I can send them back to my student, I can provide all the feedback that I need to. So that's kind of a really nice piece of Google Classroom as well, is that I can run everything right through Google Classroom, and it keeps everything kind of coordinated and organized in my Google folder and my Google Calendar. So really I can kind of use this as a hub, but it does give me the links to the outside resources in case I need them. So that being said, I want to kind of focus on creating some content right now. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to select the create button, and you can see we have a lot of different options here. We have an assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, and then a reuse post. The final one at the bottom is our topic. So what our topic is, it's these kind of little placeholders that pop up at the top of the screen or the top of our content. So if I select create and topic, let's say I'm doing unit on cell division. All right, that looks good. Okay. When I hit add, basically what that does is it just creates a little placeholder for me. So all of the content that's associated with cell division, I can automatically add under that banner. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create. And in this case, I'm just going to come down, I'm going to select material. So when I create material, I'm just creating resources. So if it's a reading passage, a YouTube video, a PowerPoint presentation that you just want your students to have access to be able to look at, study, walk through, or even if you're doing something like a Google Meet and you show them a presentation, you want to post that presentation for them afterward, you can add it as material, because all that is straight content. There's no grades to it. There's no accountability to it. It's really just you're putting the resource in there for your student to be able to access. So I'm just going to call this vision video. And just like we did with our stream, I can either put in a description, but I'm not going to in this case. I'm going to select add. And you can see we have the same options that we did before. So we have our drive, link, file, and YouTube. I'm going to select YouTube. And I'm just going to do a quick little search on cell division. And I'm going to put this little video of mitosis in there. There we go. So now I can post this material inside my content area, and it'll be there for my students so they know where to look and that the content will be organized for me. We can also create documents on the fly. So if I want to create a Word doc, a slide deck, Google Sheet, a drawing, or a form, I can create those on the fly. So I don't have to create everything beforehand and associate it over to Google Classroom. I can actually create this content, and particularly assignments, on the fly, attach them right in Google Classroom, and it'll post out to my students. But in this case, I'm just going to stick with the video, my cell division video. I'm going to put it in my material. Over here on the right-hand side, same as before with our stream, I can post it to multiple classrooms. I can also post it to multiple students or individual students. And then the final option here is under our topic. So this is where I can go in and I can actually organize my content. So in this case, that video wants to go under cell division. So I'm going to click cell division, and it's automatically going to move that content over to there. Same as before, our little drop-down arrow. I can schedule it. I can save the draft, or I can discard the draft. So in this case, if this is an assignment I don't want to post until Friday, I can schedule it for Friday. And as soon as Friday hits, it's going to pop up in my material, and it's going to pop up in the student stream, and they'll be able to see that content. So when I'm all done, if I hit post, you can see there's my cell division video. It's posted in my material. It's organized. And if I go out to my stream, you'll also see that there's a notification there saying that I've posted a new resource into the material section called the cell division video. So the students are always informed. If they go to their stream, they'll see what's new, what's being posted. And at the same time, if we go back to that content, and now let's say I actually want to create an assignment or a quiz. Very quickly, if I come in and I create I'm going to create an assignment first. I'm going to call it cell division writing passage. And in the instructions, I'm just going to say explain in your own words. What cell division is. So this is where we can come in and we can actually leverage this create piece. So now what I can do is I can come in and I can create a doc right on the fly. And that's going to create my assignment. And I'm just going to call it cell division. Enter to make sure I know that the name of the assignment will take. And now if I go back into my classwork, you can now see here's my Google Doc file. It still says untitled, but once I post it, it'll actually change the name to cell division. And what's nice about this and nice about creating an assignment is that we have a few different options. If I want to create an assignment and I only want students to be able to view this file, so let's say there's a PDF that I attach to this, so you want them to read a passage or watch a video and write a commentary or something like that on it, I can set this one up to be a view file, and then I can set another one up as an actual assignment file for them to be able to submit. But in this case, we have three different options. Students can view, which means they can look at it only. We can't see anything. We have the option of students can edit files. So what that means is that I will have all of my students collaborating on one document, which is a great way to kind of do collaborative note-taking and things of that nature. So you can kind of post that up as a Google assignment, and then have all your students log in and kind of, you know, create that community and collaborative note-taking. The final piece is down here at the bottom of the page where it says make a copy for each student. What that's going to do, it's going to take this document and it's going to create an individual copy for each one of my students, and it's going to put that in their Google folder. So when they log into Google Classroom, they click on their assignment, they click on the document, and it's automatically going to open up to their assignment, and they'll be able to start working on their summaries or on their topics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy for each student in this case. And what you'll notice, same options we had before. We have the For tab over here, so we can post it to multiple classrooms. So this is where it's really great if you're teaching multiple sections. We have our students, so we can, again, post it to all of our students or make it individual. Grade category, so we're going to get to that in a minute, but what I've done here is I've created two different categories, basically an assignment and a quiz, and I can weigh them both. So I'm going to keep this in the assignment category, have my point value, set my due date. I'm going to set a hard due date of tomorrow, and I can also set the time if I would like, but I'm not going to for the purposes of this. And then we have our topic again, where I can come in and I'm going to host this one under cell division as well. Now, the other great piece that we have with our assignments is that we now have the ability to create our own rubrics. So now I can go in and actually, if they are doing a writing passage, I can go in, I can assign a rubric to each particular assignment. And I'll show you very quickly what that looks like if I hit create rubric. You can see here's the criteria, the description, the points, level, and description. And then from there, I can just keep adding criteria and so on and so forth until I filled out my entire rubric. I'm going to jump back here and discard that guy and go back into my cell division writing passage. And you can see that because I left it unattended, it automatically saved it as a draft. So I'm going to go back into my edit assignment. And now I can also set up what's called an originality report. And this is part of kind of a premium feature that Google's playing with. But it's essentially kind of a copyright check. It'll go through and make sure that, you know, students aren't just copying and pasting off the internet and putting it in a document. But you probably did notice when I hit that checkbox is that right now, classrooms only get 3 chances before the district has to kind of pay for an upgrade for it. But for the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to leave this as is. We have our due date. We have our points assignment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this assignment. And now what you can see is we have our assignment automatically post up here. Here's my cell division Google Doc. So I can click on that for the template. And then what I can also see is that I can see 0 have been turned in and 2 have been assigned. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the 2 assigned. And now I can go out and I can see both of my students in here. Oops. And I can kind of check their process. So as soon as they open up the document and start working on it, I'll be able to come in here. And once they actually start working on the assignment, you'll see the document pop up here underneath, and you'll be able to click on it and be able to go into that assignment. So to kind of show you what that looks like in another post is now you can see under the cyberbullying assignment, you can see 1 is assigned and 1 graded. If I select the 1 graded, this is what it'll look like when students submit. So you can see kind of the document pop up here. I can click on it. And this works very similar, if not exactly the same way that Google Docs does. So I can come in, I can make different comments all the way down the page. And then I also have the option to return the assignment. So if I look at this assignment and say, you know, the work isn't really worthy of a grade yet, or I want them to work on some stuff and make some edits before I actually submit it, if I select the return button, it's going to send it back to that student. They're going to log back in, check the assignment, and know that they have to go in and kind of do some more work. So this is a really nice feature that's built into it, is that we can have that communication with our students back and forth remotely, you know, without having to have a conversation. We can have comments in between, and we also have a private comment section for each individual student. So if I do want to have a conversation, I don't necessarily want to put it in the comments about this particular assignment. I can come over here to the private comments, ask them any questions that I haven't sent them. And I'm just going to pick this in, move this over. And hit post, and then that private comment will be sent over to that student, and they'll be able to have a conversation and continue a conversation with that particular assignment. So that's just a really nice feature that Google Classroom has kind of built into this. And then you can also see that I've given them a 65 out of 100. I can either do that in the document itself like you saw, or I can just click on their name over here and hit the button, and it'll also let me know where I left off in the private chat. So if I did ask a student a question, or if they sent me a comment back, I can look over here on the left-hand side and kind of see where that particular assignment left off. So with that, I'm just going to jump back into my classroom here. And one or two things I'll kind of quickly show you here as we wrap up is in our classwork area, we can also create questions. So questions are kind of like icebreakers and bell ringers that I can assign a grade to. And I can add resources if I want. If I just want to have that question, you can see I can assign a point value to it. I'm going to put it under my assignment tab. Due date, let's say the 25th or 26th. I also want to put this in my cell division area, and we can set this up to where students can reply to each other, so I can start a conversation, or if I shut that off, they can essentially just answer the question. So once we're all set there, same as before, ask, schedule, or save draft. I'm just going to ask it and put it up online, and it'll create my question. So now if I go to my stream, you can see here's my question, here's my writing passage, and then you can also see that the due dates start to populate right within the classroom itself as well. So the students have the reminder of what assignments are becoming available to them. Okay, so the final thing that we want to talk about in our classwork area is our quiz assignment. So what's nice about Google is they have created through Google Forms the ability for teachers to give assessments to their students. So the really nice feature about this, and I'm just going to write in a quick instruction manual to do this, is right here I have a blank quiz format. So what I can do is I can click on that blank quiz, and if you've never used Google Forms, we actually have a webinar coming up later in the week about it. So if you want to get more familiar with that, please hop into that. I believe it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember off the top of my head. But in this case, I'm going to title it the Cell Division Quiz. I have my title, and now I can start adding my questions. I can add a question mark here, and then from the drop-down menu, you can see I can create a multitude of different questions. I can create short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, drop-down. But in this case, I'm going to leave it paragraph form, so students can write out a full paragraph. I can make this a required question, so students can't skip it, essentially. And then over here on the left-hand side, because it's a quiz, I can select the answer key. I can provide any answer feedback. So if I want a little placeholder for what the correct answer is, I can put it in there. And in this case, let's say it's a 5-question quiz. I'm going to make this essay question with 20 points. So once that's all set, my quiz is set up, ready to go. I can close out of here because it auto-saves. And now I can distribute it to my students. So this is, like I said, it's a really nice feature. So you can kind of run that assessment piece. And the best part about this is right here where it says locked mode on Chromebooks. What that will do is if your students are logged into a Chromebook, and if they have their Chromebooks at home that they're taking this quiz with, it'll essentially force kind of a kiosk mode. So students won't be able to wander outside of the tabs, look up their answers and things of that nature on the device that they're using. So that is a really nice feature that it kind of dissuades them from being dishonest with some of the work that they're doing. So this kind of locks everything down. So as soon as they open that quiz up, they aren't going to be able to travel to other websites, look up the answers quick, and things of that nature. So once we're all set, same thing as before, I can come in, select my due date, add my topic. I'm going to put it right under cell division, and I can assign my quiz. Oops, and I didn't add a grade category, so now I'm going to do my quiz category and select assign. There we go. So now my quiz is posted, ready for my students to take within their classroom. So this is kind of the setting up of getting our students kind of rolling and getting you rolling as an instructor right within Google Classroom. The last thing that I want to show you is I'm actually going to come into my classroom that I just created, and I'm just going to create a test assignment here. I'm just going to create a quick Google Doc. Put a due date of March 19th on it. How about a date that actually exists? There we go, March 27th. There we go. I'm going to assign it quickly, just so we have an assignment set up there. But now what I can do is I have my students in there. I have some assignments created. Now if I click on the grades tab, it should have popped up with a way to set up my gradebook. And it didn't, but I can jump back here and show you in the gradebook of the other classroom that I created. You can see that when I first set up my gradebook within my Google Classroom, it'll ask me how I want them to weigh the grades, so I can categorize it by assignment, by quiz, by question, however I want to set that up. So then when I categorize them, when I create them, it'll add the proper weight to them and kind of calculate the averages for me automatically. So I'm sorry that didn't work, but I know we're just about out of time, but please feel free to experiment with that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of our Model Schools coordinators here at the Mohawk Regional Information Center. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And as I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And please, keep an eye on the calendar. We're doing a lot of webinars. We're doing about 2 a day now, just on different instructional resources that are out there for educators. So, feel free to go to moric.org and click on the PD calendar to, see what we have available and see what's coming up. Once again, thank you everybody for joining me. My name is Derek Lalone, and I hope everybody has a great day.